The pandemic has dealt the global economy an unprecedented shock, and the recovery is likely to be slow and uneven. Disadvantages and inequalities have been amplified, with harm falling hardest on poorer people, businesses, and countries. Today, we're going to look ahead to better times and to discuss what's needed to support a faster and deeper economic recovery that lays a foundation for a more sustainable and inclusive global economic system.
We're finalizing a new climate change action plan, which includes a big step up in financing, building on our record climate financing over the past 2 years. It includes new analytical support to countries as part of integrated climate and development programs. We want to achieve as much impact as possible with the increased financing. Our plan identifies key priorities for action with a focus on both adaptation and mitigation. It also includes a strong focus on a just transition from coal. And we're working toward aligning our financial flows with the objectives of the Paris Agreement. Managing Director Georgieva, you have been in the forefront of worry about the inequality in the system, and I wonder if you could give us some thoughts on that and what can the IMF do to ease the inequality?
We are upgrading our projections for the year, but economic fortunes within countries and across countries are diverging dangerously. And this is why in these meetings we are focusing on giving everyone a fair shot. A fair shot in the arm everywhere so we can bring the pandemic to a durable end to underpin sustainable recovery, but also a fair shot to a chance for a better life for vulnerable people and for vulnerable countries.
I think resilience is important, and to me, one of the lessons of the crisis is that the global system, should have learned that we need to be better prepared for crises than we were for this one. This may not be our very last health crisis ever, and I hope we will learn that we need to work together to be better prepared for future crises. We have seen, certainly we in the United States have seen that our safety net wasn't all that it should be to protect the most vulnerable citizens. We have had to shore it up in a series of ad hoc actions, and I think making sure that our safety nets work here and throughout the world for future crises.
Y yo creo que las juventudes tenemos un rol prioritario en construir una recuperación verde, resiliente, inclusiva y justa.
Before we had a COVID crisis, we had a climate crisis, and it hasn't gone away. So, how can we use the rebuilding process to ensure that we don't go back to the way things were, but strive for a greener, more sustainable future? Here to discuss those huge issues are Swetinia Puspalestari, an environmental activist from Indonesia, and Karim El Einawi, president of the Policy Center for the New South in Morocco.
The older generation tends to have more leverage because they have the policymaker positions, they have the fundings from the big businesses, but the youth have the new innovative ideas and also, the maximum energy, the time to, really mobilize the movement towards this green recovery. But we cannot do it alone. We need the older generation to really listen and also give the chance to collaborate. And if it happens, it is actually, we can make a big impact.
We should green all investments, all infrastructure we're doing. It's a posture. It's a way of looking at things. We need to minimize the carbon footprint of any fiscal budgetary spendings. Today we are asking from companies to measure their carbon footprint, their carbon impact. I think this should be asked from governments or from public spending.
Our next discussion also focuses on resilience and innovation by private companies, both large and small. Another question that was shared on our website was, how can greater financial inclusion help boost the recovery in emerging and developing economies?
Over 80% of businesses in sub-Saharan Africa are SMEs. Many are run by women, and most of them are in the informal sector. So we believe at Standard Bank that supporting and enabling this segment is a critical part of driving Africa's growth. We have provided an electronic mobile wallet. This has created a multiplier effect in the ecosystems of these businesses.
All of us before COVID were either engaged in discussions whether or not technology is going to crowd out jobs. I think that COVID knows that technology can be a catalyst, can be a driver towards more growth and being able to leap beyond the contraction that happened in the economy. And therefore, encouraging entrepreneurship, encouraging innovation, making sure that the startup ecosystem and landscape is also encouraged, because that is what will add more resilience to the economies in the face of any shock that can come forward.
პანდემიამ აბსოლუტურად თუ ვისაუბრებთ შემოსავლების კუთხით, ნულია შემოსავალი. არ დამიკარგავს იმედი, უფრო გაფართოვებას ველოდები, უფრო წინსვლას, სურველიც ალბათ უფრო მეტია გამომდინარე იქიდან, რომ დაიღალა ხალხი.
Minister Visot, the impact of the pandemic on Cambodia was severe, threatening to push millions further into poverty. Your government rapidly expanded its cash transfer programs to over 2.6 million people. How are you able to do this so quickly?
We cannot invent a new wheel. So we have to take into account what we have as a mechanism, social assistance program, social protection program under the social protection framework we have had. So we take all the system we have integrated into a one scheme, the so-called cash transfer program, which we never did before.
Women are hit particularly hard by the crisis, with millions working in the service industry. How can international organizations and governments help to address millions of jobs lost?
Women are assets. Women are amazing assets. And governments need to think about how they budget to respond to and support women's increased livelihoods, their education, their well-being, their economic and social equality. And if we apply a gender lens to these big critical decisions, then we'll see the knockoff effect in increased employment and increased livelihoods and increased well-being for women. And I think everyone will benefit from that.
Hello. In the 20 years I've been working on development, the spring meetings have never felt more urgent. We all understand that we are in the middle of an international emergency. Economic growth cannot be resilient when it leaves so many people out. The only way to rebuild sustainably is to make sure that all people enjoy the opportunity to build wealth and the security to withstand shocks. Let me be specific. This crisis has done disproportionate damage to the women and girls who have been forced to the margins of every economy. If we want to recover quickly and build a solid foundation for the future, we need to put women and girls front and center.
This song, Changing Inspiration, is dedicated to all of you today, working toward meaningful action. Floating above the horizon, sun staring back at me, I can see my desperate shadow. Tight and it's holding me, scents and sounds I remember, on me with redemption. Greedy eyes take in the moment, truth hides behind my face.